We did have another question pop into the Q&A here. Do you pre-margin jobs, and what is your minimum job margin to take on a job? How do you let your sales guy know we can't build it when it's too low unless X happens?
I've got an interesting theory on this somewhat, but yeah, I mean, every job when we quote it, we're building margin into it. I don't know what pre-margin is, I guess, but the quote, yes, has margin built into it. Anyway, as far as what the minimum is I would take, we kind of have a little different theory on margin. Now, we don't really quote anything below 30%. Usually we're 35 to 40% is what we're targeting. There are plenty of scenarios where we'll go to 30 to sell it. My sales guys are literally allowed without asking to go to 30 if that's what it takes to sell it. We do have a different little opinion though, because I believe actually me and John Deloria had this discussion a long time ago, and I still believe every day has a certain value. So what you can make in a day can meet that value whether you do a 20% gross profit or a 50% gross profit. For instance, to explain, if you're going to do a 10 square job, right? And it's going to consume that crew for the day. Well, let's say the ticket on 10 squares, $6,000, whatever, $6,000 for 10 square. But that same crew could do 40 square in a day, and that ticket's $20,000. So it's less margin, right? But the profit amount for that day is greater than the other job. So our goal is how much profit can we make in a day? But there are certain jobs that, for instance, we get some big rubber jobs and we can put down a lot of rubber in a day. I mean, we can do 70, 80 square rubber in a day. Well, if we're going to go do 70 or 80 square rubber in a day versus going and doing 15 square shingles, I can sell that rubber job at a much less gross profit margin because in that same day, I only have that one day, right, to consider what I'm going to make that day. And that one day, I can make significantly more money at the end of the day versus that small job, even with a lesser gross profit margin. But yes, I just think each day has a value and you've got to get the most out of each day.
Yeah, for us, we are thinking about margin a lot. We associate a different margin with different trades. You know, the shingle aspect of the contract has a certain margin. The soffit fascia gutter has another one. The hardy has another one. Like, and it's all based on, like he was saying, time. Like, if we can get it done fast, you can sell it at a lower margin. If it takes a while, like James Hardy is obviously our highest margin product. It just takes forever. And if you have like a big, gigantic commercial roof, you bring it down because the guys will speed through that. And I agree. Like 30 is pretty much as low as anybody should go on that. You can get up to like 45. But I was just at a conference last week. The guy was doing $70 million and doesn't go below 50. So like that's another thing that I've realized is you pretty much close a third of the jobs you go to, no matter what you're priced. So kind of just do what's best for you.
Yeah, we're basically at 40. I don't like to go anywhere lower than that, but yeah, it depends on the trade. If it's, exterior paint or something, it's different than roofing, but yeah, it's the same way. It's like how much money can you make in one day? You know, that's the dollar amount that you're making a day, not the profit margin. So you're calculating that like what you're talking about, Scott, and that would be like a dollar, like how much money dollar wise are you making a day, not profit margin per day. So that's the difference there. But yeah, I think it's everybody's numbers are a little bit different, but industry wide, it's 35 to 40%. And if you want a little wiggle room, then yeah, if that makes sense for your company, then yeah. But if you're like a one guy starting off and you can afford to be lower margins because your break even is lower and you have very little operating costs, then great. Once you get to be bigger company, a lot of operating costs and, physical buildings and trucks and people and healthcare you're offering, you got to have a minimum that you can't go below to because you'll sacrifice the business just to get the job, which is what you don't want to do.
If we see a couple names show up before us, sometimes we give it away.
Is to spite them. Yeah.
Depends on he got there before us. They might get it for free.
That's so funny. Yeah. What about you, Star? Anything to add there? Or you think they covered it?
No, I think they covered it pretty well.
Fair enough.